In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the transformation that we call a translation. Or easier way to remember it is that it's just a slide, where we're going to slide something around. But it maintains orientation, and it maintains its size. It doesn't change. So let's go ahead and take a look at our rule up here. Notice our rule says that the rule is you add 2y to shift the preimage up. And you add to x to shift it right. You subtract from y to shift it down, and you subtract from x to shift it left. That's the basis of the rule. So if you can remember that, then you'll do very well on these. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Notice we're going to start with this image over here on the left, and notice it gives us a verbal statement. It says up 1 unit and right 5 units. The reason I gave this in a verbal statement like that is because often we'll see the STAR test will give us some type of command like that, and it'll tell us what are the new coordinates or which image matches correctly. So let's go ahead and let's write our rule, because that's always the first thing that we're going to do. Now, right before doing that, I do want you to see down here that I give you some little notes. Notice it says add and subtract, and it says original, the value is x, y. If we move something up, x stays the same, and we add c to y. And c just represents the numerical value that we're going to use to increase y in order to move that point up. Move down, we're just going to be subtracting from y. Move right, we're going to be adding to x. Move left, we'll be subtracting from x. If we move up and right, we'll add to x and we'll add to y. If we move down and left, we would subtract from x and we would subtract from y. So this is just some rules based to kind of let you see what's happening. C just represents the value that we're going to be adding or subtracting. With that being said, we're going to write a rule on this right on the top in between this. So let's go ahead and do as usual. We're going to start out, we're writing our x and y, because this is the way it'll look on a STAR test. And then we're going to have our parenthesis, and we're going to have x, and this says that we're going to move right 5 units. Well, remember, if we're moving right, we're going into positive territory on the x-axis, right? Remember, if we move to the right, we said this is positive. Move up on the y-axis from origin, that's positive. Down on the y-axis from origin is negative. To the left on the x-axis from origin is negative. So kind of keep that in mind, and that'll help you know if you add or subtract. So since we're going to be going right 5, we're moving this way towards a positive sign. So we're going to actually say plus 5, comma, and then we have a y. Well, what are we going to do with the y? Well, here it says we're going to go up 1 unit. So that means we're going to add 1 unit. And we have written our rule. X plus 5 means right 5. Y plus 1 means up 1. So let's go ahead and do that real quick with our ordered pairs mathematically, and then we'll plot them. Now, when we do this mathematically, I like to go ahead and do just like we did last time. We're going to be adding and subtracting top to bottom. Let's go ahead and write it out. So we have j. We'll leave a little space where we can do our math, and I'll have j prime. And then we have k. And then we have k prime, which is going to be our new one after we perform this translation. And then last of all, we have L. And then we have L prime. Okay, so let's go ahead and find J real quick. So remember, we start from origin always. And to find J, we go over 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So since we went left 4, that's negative 4, and then up 4 was positive 4. For K, we're going to go to the left 1 time, so that's going to be negative 1 for our x value, and then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, so positive 3 for the y value. For L, we're going to go left 1, 2, so we have negative 2 for our x value, then up 1, so positive 1 for our y value. Alright, so now that we got our points, let's go in and do the math. Now notice I said that we're going to be adding 5 to x and adding 1 to y. So let's go ahead and do that. Now when I do these, I'll go ahead and write my points like this, top to bottom, and then I'll just put that plus 5 on every x value. So x is plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. And then my y is going to be plus 1. So I'm going to add 1 to every y value. All right. Now, let's go ahead and do the math. Now, some of you are really good at adding and subtracting integers, and some of you are not. And I'm one of those people who is never that good at it, but we can use our calculator for this. So again, don't guess at these. Just use your calculator. It won't take but a second. So we have negative 4 plus 5. Let's put that in our calculator. So if I put a negative, remember I'm using that white button. It's the first term in this expression. So I'm going to put negative 4, and then I have plus 5. Notice it gives me a positive 1. So I don't have to put the positive sign if it's a positive 1. I just put a 1 in there. Now 4 plus 1, I know that, right? 4 plus 1 gives me 5. So that's our new ordered pair. On the next one, we have negative 1 plus 5. Well, I could put that in my calculator, but I say, well, negative 1 plus 5, that means I just take away 1. That leaves me with a positive 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. We go ahead and put that here. And negative 2 plus 5, we'll put that one in the calculator. So if we put in our negative 2 and then we add 5 to it, it gives us positive 3. So we'll write that down, positive 3, and then 1 plus 1 gives me 2. And we have our 3 ordered pairs that have all undergone a translation, and so let's plot them. So J prime is 1, 5. So I'm going to go to origin, I'm going to go over 1, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put J prime. K prime is at 4, 4. So I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be K prime. And then L prime is 3, 2. So I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. Then up 2. 1, 2. And that's L prime. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my dots real quick. The neat thing that I like about translations, it's just addition and subtraction. So every problem you do, you're just doing addition and subtraction. Your shape should look exactly the same. The orientation should look exactly the same. It should have just looks like it slid over. So I'm going to shade this in real quick. So I like shading them in, makes them stand out. There it goes. All right, so let's look at what really happened here. Notice our rule said that we went to the right 5 and we went up 1, right? X plus 5, Y plus 1. And we can confirm that. We can say, okay, if it's X plus 5, we go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y says we go up 1, up 1. So notice L just moved to the right 5 times and up 1. I could go from K. And I could say over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1, 1. And it matches. I can go from J. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1. So there might be some of you looking at this going, you know what, Mr. H, it's way easier just to count 5 over and up 1 and draw a dot than it is to do the math over here. You know what, Mr. H agrees with you. I agree with you. I believe that it is easier to do that, but we need to know how to do the math because on a STAR test, sometimes they won't give you the picture. They'll just give you this statement, and they'll say, and they'll give you an ordered pair. Maybe they'll say J is negative 4, positive 4. And they'll say which ordered pair is one of the points on this triangle. And you would have had to do the math on it and then figure out which one it is. So don't always depend on the picture because you might not get it. So be sure you can do it mathematically and you can do it by looking at it. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at another one over here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to write our algebraic rule. We do have room in the bottom to write it, so I want to write it in the bottom. And I'm going to write my parentheses real quick. We got X and Y. Right, and we have X and something's going to happen there. And we have Y, something's going to happen there. Okay, this says go down 4 units. So that means Y, I'm going to be subtracting 4 because we're going down 4. And left 1 unit. So that means I'm going to be subtracting 1 from X because we're going left. Now that means this shape is going to go down and left. With that being said, let's go ahead and write our ordered pairs for JKL. So if I start from origin, I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's negative 4, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to say J is negative 4, and then it's positive 4. And then beneath it, right, we're going to do j prime, but we're going to do that last. I'm going to go in and do k. K is to the left 1, and then up 1, 2, 3. So it's -1 for the x, positive 3 for the y. And I'm going to go ahead and put k prime. L is 1, 2, and then 1. So L is going to be -2 because we went left 2, and then we went up 1. And down here, I'm going to put L prime. So let's go ahead and get our ordered pairs. Now remember, in this case, right, we're subtracting 1 from all the x's. So -1, -1, -1. And we're going to subtract 4 from all the y's. -4, -4, -4. Alright. Again, use your calculator to do these, to do this arithmetic to make sure that you don't mess up, right? Because if you make a mistake on the number, on the math, right, when you're putting these integers together, you're going to have the wrong shape. So I'm going to go in and just do this. It's -4 minus 1. I know that gives me a -5. 4 minus 4 gives me 0. That's j prime. -1 minus 1 gives me -2. 3 minus 4 gives me -1. And this one, -2 minus 1 gives me -3. And 1 minus 4 gives me -3. Now I didn't use my calculator. You can use yours. But I would double check it with your calculator before you try plotting any points to make sure that the math you did was correct. So notice we have -5 and 0. We have -2 and -1. And we have -3, -3. So let's plot those points. So j prime, -5, 0. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. 0 means we don't go up or down. We just stay there. No movement up or down. That's j prime. K prime is -2, -1. So I go over 1, 2, and down 1. And that's going to be k prime. And then L prime is -3, -3. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be L prime. So we got our 3 points. Let's go ahead and connect our dots. I am going to shade it in. Okay, there's our shape. Notice it did not change orientation. It did not change shape, right? All it did was slide down and left. Now notice it should have slid down 1. I'm sorry, it should have slid down 4. And it should have slid left 1. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do a shift to the x says -1. So we go from L, we go over 1. And then y says we go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice it ends up right where L prime is. So let's try that with k. Go over 1, and then go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And k matches up. So now we'll check j. X says -1, so we go left 1. Y says -4, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So it checks out. Everything's great on that one. What I like to do now is I feel like now you have a good understanding of how to create the rule, and you have a good understanding of how to plot the points. With that being said, I want you to try this one all on your own. Notice all it says is down 3 units, right? So you're just going down. In other words, it matches up with this rule right here. So go ahead and write your algebraic rule with the value they gave you. Move it down 3 units. And then I want you to hit play on this video and check and see if you got the same thing that I got. For our algebraic rule on this one, I'm going to go ahead and write it right underneath it. And I'm going to say x, comma, y, put my arrow, and we have x, and then we have y. There we go. Now notice this actually said down 3 units. So I don't have to do anything to x, I'll leave it the same. But for y, I'm going to subtract 3 units. And that is my algebraic rule right there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to write our ordered pairs and see what happened here. So I have j. Then we're going to have j prime. We have k. And we have k prime. And then we have L. and we have L prime. With that being said, let's look at our points. So for J, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have negative 4, positive 4. For K, I have 1, 1, 2, 3. So negative 1, positive 3. For L, I have 1, 2, and up 1. So negative 2, positive 1. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and do the math. We're not doing anything to x, so x stays the same. So I'm just going to bring down my values for x. We're not going to make any changes to it. That's negative 4, that's still negative 1, that's still negative 2, nothing changed. Now for y, we're going to be subtracting 3, so minus 3. So 4 minus 3 gives me 1. 3 minus 3 gives me 0. 1 minus 3 gives me negative 2. And those are all my primes. Once again, I do recommend you check your values with your calculator before plotting them, but I feel confident that this is correct. So J prime, my point is at negative 4, positive 1. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 1. J prime. K prime is negative 1, 0. So negative 1, and it stays at 0. So that's K prime. L prime is negative 2, 2. 1, 2, down, 1, 2. L prime. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my shape now. It should look exactly like my other shape. It just slid down exactly 3 units. Alright, so I'm going to shade it in. So now let's look at the J. Did it go down 3 units? 1, 2, 3. It did. K, 1, 2, 3. How about L? 1, 2, 3. So I know I did it right.